Well, good evening, everyone. Ben Kingsley here. I really appreciate you attending tonight's webinar. It's quite an exciting time for us to be showcasing these new financial assets that we've got, and we totally respect the fact that your time is the most valuable asset that you can give us. So we really appreciate the fact that you've turned up here to watch this demonstration and for us to release these exciting new tools on our Moorr platform. I'm not here by myself tonight. I'm thrilled to announce that obviously Bryce has been able to join me. So welcome, Bryce.
Hello, Ben. How are you? Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to share tonight, Ben. It's really exciting because it's kind of the culmination of 10 years of vision to arrive at being able to share this with our clients. So it's always nice for us to, even if it's virtually, Ben, we get to spend some time with our valued clients, and hopefully they'll get some real value tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. And I'm pretty confident they will. There's some exciting, things that we want to share. Can we just work through the housekeeping?
Yeah, a little bit of housekeeping here, folks. So you'll see there's a Q&A box down the bottom. So if you have any questions throughout, we've got Alric, who might jump on shortly, put his camera on just so you see. He'll be checking the question box. Thanks for jumping on, Al. And feel free to raise your hands when you see anything that you might find helpful, because we'll be able to see those hands going up, and it's great. It keeps us encouraged along the way as well. And also to keep it interactive and fun and light, we've got a couple of polls that we've got prepared. So if you just, you'll see some of those pop up on your screen. If that's the case, just feel free to interact with those. We will actually get the results. We'll see them, and then Ben's going to announce what they are. And all importantly, Ben, we'd love everyone to stick around to the end because you and I are going to stick around for Q&A. So if you familiarize yourself with the Q&A button, we'll be there at the end, and we'll look forward to having that Q&A session. But lots and lots of cool stuff for us to share, Ben.
Yeah, there is. And for those of you who have been with us for many, many years, thanks again for turning up, and obviously thanks for your custom over the journey. And you might know the My Wealth portal was the original client portal that we created, and now we've since rebranded that at the end of last year, and that's Moorr, and that's what we continually keep referring to as this new Moorr platform, which is the platform and client portal for our clients in our advisory business, and also in some of the education work that we do as well. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. Let's kick off. What we'll do is we'll turn our cameras off. Will be a distraction otherwise, so I'm just going to stop sharing my camera, and we'll see you at the end, and we'll make a start. So what I wanted to talk about first and foremost is this whole concept of, we're big on frameworks. We always have been, and this framework has proven to be one of our most successful frameworks around, understanding an opportunity, taking action and reviewing that. And one of the critical parts that we're going to be focusing in tonight is around the manage. So, measure and monitor. If you don't do these things, you won't be tweaking and you won't be seeing those opportunities. And we talk about, this idea of making your money work harder for you and don't leaving any money on the table, or not leaving any money on the table. So tonight we're going to be introducing you to these three, what we refer to as next generation financial insights tools that we think are really going to change the way you look at your finances, from this point forward. That's the challenge that we're putting forward. And really, we talk about this often about plan to become what you plan to become. And that's a really good segue into this whole concept of around time waits for no one. So, when I'm thinking about this, we've really started to think about how to plan early and then take action. Remember, knowledge is empowering, but only if you act on it. And so really, we're going to be focusing in on this whole concept of time and bringing future to the present, and also showing that in one of our financial tools. But Bryce, if you could just talk through how we got here and basically what it means for people.
Yeah, well, our experience has taught us a lot at this point, Ben. Between you and I, we've been professionally helping people since the 90s. So there's been some observations during that time. But the people who are on this webinar tonight get it right because they've interacted in some way to get some form of advice, whether that's through our business in one of the very many divisions that we have. But the vast majority of Australians actually don't get it. And I think there's the problem where they see that retirement's too far in the future. So if that's the backdrop, how do we actually solve for a problem that people don't know that they've got? So I guess that's really the backdrop of how do we bring a future problem that is not yet diagnosed by the majority of people and actually bring it to present time, so it actually hits us in the face, Ben, so that we can actually take action when it matters, which is now with a bit of a run up, versus if we sort of leave it in the shadows of retirement or whenever our lifestyle design goals will be. If we leave it too close to the finish line, chances are we won't be able to do anything. So just want people to think about that. How do we solve for a problem, Ben, that most people don't know that they've got?
Yeah, it's a perfect segue into introducing the first of our financial tools, and this is WealthSPEED. Now, I've got a little poll here because obviously to get you along tonight, we send out a couple of emails to just let you know about this particular event. So I'm going to launch the first poll, and that one is, who couldn't wait? Effectively, who couldn't check out, once they heard this concept of WealthSPEED, how many people have already gone in and kicked the tool versus how many haven't waited until, it's a bit like that experiment you did where you got I'll give you one donut now, and if you don't eat it, I'll give you 3 donuts tomorrow. And the kids just couldn't wait. They basically hooked into the donuts. Well, this is another story here, and I'm seeing the results coming through, which is quite fascinating. I'll share those results now. It's 47 to 53. So 47% of those of you who are already on the call tonight have said that they will. I've already checked out WealthSPEED, and we've got 51%. It's changing now. It's now 50-50 of over 100 responses that we've got. So that's pretty cool. So let me explain to you what is WealthSPEED. So as I mentioned earlier, it's one of our next generation financial insight tools, and it's simply designed to help households better understand how hard their money is working for them. All right, what sort of momentum have they got into their finances to allow them to continue to build that wealth? And effectively, it's like building wealth in your sleep. That's what we're sort of using this analogy. Now, here's a car. I've got this car analogy here, and it's really helpful in terms of how we're going to explain the 3 tools that we're showcasing tonight. The first one is, if you're looking at your dashboard, obviously the main thing you look on your dashboard is your speedometer, how quickly that you're traveling, the momentum that you've been able to get at any moment in time. And WealthSPEED works exactly the same way. It's like a speedometer for your wealth. It measures how quickly your wealth is growing every hour. So it's a 24-hour indication of how quickly your wealth is growing. Now, to showcase what WealthSPEED is all about, I'm going to firstly introduce you to our example couple. Now, we can see here, this example couple has been inspired by a couple of our clients. So we've obviously helped thousands of clients on the journey through our property planning services and so forth. So we've just cherry-picked a particular client. Obviously, we've changed their names to protect them, but this is very, very much like for like in terms of their situation and the journey that they've been on. So we put them in country Victoria. They've got 1 owner-occupied home, 1 investment property, annual household income 162, annual surplus 33, cash savings 31, total assets we can see here is 981,000, investment property of 551, non-investments 430, total outstanding liabilities 551, total monthly expenditures 8,000, tax payable 33, and then monthly cash flow surplus of just under 2,600. So now that we've got to meet Grace and Troy, I'm now going to attempt to move the slide deck to go and have a look at the WealthSPEED. So you can see here, these are some of the gauges that make up that particular story. So we're going to now do a live demonstration. So I'm just going to change screens here and find the demonstration screen that I'm looking for. There it is. Hopefully that's come through for everyone. I've got confirmation of that. So here we are in the Moorr platform, and you can see this is the main dashboard. We have the WealthSPEED story in here, but we're going to take a deeper dive in one of the other areas. So this should be familiar with most of you who have been in here. You get some fantastic insights and breakdowns in regards to your overall financial position and where all your money's going on the main dashboard here. But I'm moving across to the new wealth dashboard, and we can see some really interesting information. I'm going to set the time period to maximum. I am going to focus in on this part of the demonstration on the WealthSPEED story. So to do that, if I simply click on WealthSPEED, you can see that I get a historical record of the WealthSPEED for this particular household. So anytime they go in and change that information, we are making a date stamp and recording that information. Now, WealthSPEED is made up of a combination of asset speed, saving speed, and debt reduction speed. Now, if I click on debt reduction speed, that tells me the story. Now, why is debt reduction adding to my WealthSPEED? Well, effectively, that paying down that principal is a choice we make with that surplus cash. And by doing so, we're reducing the amount of expense interest. And so we add that as part of our overall debt reduction speed. In addition to that, the tree that makes up our saving speed is our spending speed, which we can see here, and hopefully we'll be reducing that spending speed. And then you also see our net income speed, and our net income speed is made up of these 4 gauges. That's our working income speed. So that's what we spend most of our time and our exertion on in terms of that. Our passive income speed, our rental income speed, and our investment income speed. Now, of course, the smart ones in the room would be working out that if I want to retire, I've got to effectively build up enough passive income to supplement out my working income speed. So that's a great way of looking at it. And then finally, when we get into the WealthSPEED, we were talking about the asset speed. Now, this is the capital value or the assets that are appreciating. So we have the personal property, and that's growing at $2.20 per hour. We've got the investment property, we've got the other investments, and then we've also got our superannuation speed as well. Now, we did say that we had an investment property, even though you can see it here that it's not showing any value. The moment that I would change or put new values in there, I would start to get a reading on that once I've adjusted the value of the property. So every time I come into the platform and revalue the property, all of those calculations are going to be happening in the background. So you can see we've also got the gauges on the web version, our cloud version, that are available here across the top. And then in terms of how we derive all of these numbers, it's all driven by, the properties that we put in here in terms of the assets, the income that we put in, the expenses that we put in terms of our bills and spending. All that information is what is captured and then brought to life through the wealth dashboard as part of that. So, we've got borrowings, bills and spending, essential and discretionary, all of those things. Again, the magic of the tool is you put in all of the basic information and you start to getting all of these incredible insights. So that is a nice little initial summary in terms of what the WealthSPEED can do for you. I'll come back into the main presentation now, and we can see there I am. So that's just a sample in terms of what you're able to do and what you're able to see when it comes to your WealthSPEED. I'll move to the next slide for Bryce to just talk through some of the key takeaways.
Yeah, we think this can be a game changer for several reasons, but what we found, Ben, through the podcast is when we invite people on, we ask them the question, do you talk about money when you're growing up? Most of the time, about 4 out of 5 say no. And we feel like this could be a gauge where people can start to talk about something where, hey, what's your WealthSPEED? What's my WealthSPEED? And by comparing just a simple metric like this, it actually doesn't say how much do you earn, what are you spending? It's just saying, what speed are you currently going on? Are you going faster or slower? And it starts a narrative around that. But it actually showcases the current state of play. And if we go back to that problem that what people don't know that they've got, well, it allows us now to look through the front windscreen rather than looking in the rear view mirror all the time, which typically budgets do. So that's a game changer for that reason. It also leads to greater awareness so that we can actually take action in areas that's going to increase our WealthSPEED. Because typically, once you know what your WealthSPEED is, the next question is, well, how do I make it go faster? Well, it actually gives you that awareness first, and then secondly, brings forward what actions need to be taken today that will have an impact in the future. And ultimately, it's going to lead to the household having a better understanding of how hard their money is working for them. So if your number one job is to make your WealthSPEED go faster, all of a sudden you become opportunity aware, or in some cases, for some people, when they look at that result, Ben, they might find that it's a little slow. So therefore they realize it's a problem that they need to fix and they need to speed it up before it's too late.
Yeah, it's all about that taking action story. So thank you for that excellent summary in terms of those key takeaways. Let's keep moving. We've got momentum now. So we're going to be talking about WealthCLOCK, and I'd like to introduce you to the concept of WealthCLOCK as our second next generation financial insight tool. Now, we're going to come back to the car analogy here, and what sits next door to the speedometer in the car? Well, it's the odometer, and the odometer tracks or keeps records of the distance you have traveled when the car is moving, and it records basically that movement in real time. So as your speedo is going up, your odometer is ticking over in terms of measuring that in kilometers traveled. So, the faster the car's going, the quicker that odometer moves. Now, let's relay that back into the concept of what is the WealthCLOCK. Well, effectively, it's your odometer for your wealth. It's measured how far you've currently traveled, and it's measuring the pace and momentum that you have built up in real time. So again, it's moving as quick as your WealthSPEED is moving. So that's the connection here between WealthSPEED and WealthCLOCK. So the quicker you make your WealthSPEED go, the quicker your WealthCLOCK starts to grow. So let's again come inside and have a look at a live demo. So we'll just move through our deck and get back to the actual live platform. And so here we go. We can basically see here that we've got a WealthCLOCK, and you can see it in real time, and you can see the cents ticking over in real time in terms of how that household is progressing their overall wealth. And you can see here that since their last checkup, and for this particular dummy client that we've created, we put a checkup in August of 2020, and you can see here that they've had a 55% improvement in that wealth. And so that also should inspire action in terms of, because for some people, we get it. You're starting from a very low base, and so it may feel like the clock's not ticking quick enough. Well, that's to inspire you. And the idea of, having these percentage changes every time you go in to increase your WealthSPEED is going to ultimately make your WealthCLOCK go faster. When you click on it, you'll see it's obviously made up of the hourly rate, plus it's also adding up the net worth of all of your assets. So that's how it's sort of putting those two things together, and it's measuring them every second as obviously a guide. Of course, it's an indication only. It cannot be a perfectly precise, but it's also inspired by things like debt clocks that we saw in the US. And so that sort of brings us to that backstory around, how it all comes together. So really simple to see. It gives you a bit of an idea. We'll be getting into WealthTRACKER in a moment, but you can see exactly what's going on. So let's get back into the presentation screen. I've done that, navigated that successfully, hopefully. And so let's talk about those key takeaways here, Bryce.
Yeah, so I guess it allows you to have one metric that puts your wealth in complete perspective, right? So you can see there that if it's ticking away, you can often see on a spreadsheet a net position, but what it's actually doing is giving you a live, real-time assessment of what's actually going. And as Ben said before, it's a combination of net assets and your WealthSPEED. So if you can speed up your WealthSPEED, this will actually accumulate faster. So if we can bring current vision to a future problem through WealthSPEED, and then combine it with what we've got, and then add that layer on top so that we can see how that's accumulating, it gives us that sense of motivation. If you're already on a wealth building journey, becomes a pleasing sight for you to see that speed is ticking over, and it's a nice feeling. Still gets you thinking, okay, how can I make it go faster? Am I on track? Is everything okay? And for those who are just starting out or haven't really paid much attention to their finances until now, hopefully it's a motivator for you to get serious. And what we've observed over many, many years through helping clients, being on the podcast, talking to people, the number one key to success is being able to take action. Because if you don't take action, you're just telling stories about what could have been. So hopefully, if you've got a speedometer that's saying this is what the pace I'm going, and then you've got an odometer that says this is the accumulation of where I'm at, a combination of those two things should be very, very motivating, Ben.
Wonderful, Bryce. Thanks very much. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you've got any questions, to put your questions in the box below. The Q&A section there, you'll see the little panel. Start putting those questions together. We've got Alric waiting in the wings to sort of work through some of those questions. So we're getting close to moving through to Q&A time. Okay, let's move along now. And obviously, here we are back at the car analogy again for our very third and final financial insight tool that we want to share with you. And this one is referred to as Wealth Tracker. Now, we've made the analogy here that this is like the GPS navigation system, which tracks and records locations and journeys. Well, the Wealth Tracker's job is to track, record, and report on your wealth building journey, showing you progress and growth over time. Now, we know that is a big motivator when it comes to actually breaking down goal setting. So if you're actually seeing movement, and we understand wealth building doesn't just happen right in front of your eyes, it does take time for that to happen. So the idea here is to be able to start to see that you are making those incremental changes, building those incremental milestones, and building that momentum towards where you want to get in terms of your financial transformation journey. So what we're going to do now is take a look at the Wealth Tracker tool, and also the net worth tool that sits in behind that as well as part of this live demonstration. So here I go, I'll move across into the live demonstration. And yes, it's been sitting on the same wealth dashboard screen. We didn't sort of hide it as part of being here. I'm going to set that to a maximum period. And you can see here, what's going to be happening is I'm starting to get a look at total assets, total liabilities, and obviously my net worth position. And I'm seeing, again, those changes based on whatever time I set. So if I haven't checked in or changed my numbers over that time period, it's not going to give me an update. So it's motivating me again to give myself a bit of an update. I told you earlier, this is a dummy client. So we've set some changes over a longer period of time. And so you're able to then move to those maximum periods. And as you play on the platform over the years and years and years to come, it's going to have all of that. And I've got an exciting announcement later in this presentation to talk to you about other features that we're going to be bringing in to this Wealth Tracker tool. Now, what's sitting behind that, you'll actually see your net worth breakdown. So now, as you potentially each month of each year, you'll be able to highlight some of those, and then you can see the breakdown when it comes to total assets and the categorization: super, bank, property, investments, other assets. And then obviously we've broken down the liabilities. We know that net worth is assets less liabilities, to provide that net worth story as well. So another really simplistic tool, but very, very powerful in the way in which it conveys insights. Now you can see here, what's a fascinating insight. Why did the bank account go down by $48,000? But the wealth speed has gone up and the wealth clock has gone up. There's a clear example. Guess what? We've used that $48,000 to buy an investment property. So that's why we've seen a reduction in the bank account details that's allowed us to purchase that investment property, and we're seeing a greater result. And, again, it's all about, the total sum of the parts, all focusing in on the wealth speed, which then also correlates into that wealth clock story. So another really simple way to break down your information, but you can see some really powerful insights in terms of what that looks like. So let's move back into the presentation and let's do a key takeaways with Bryce.
Yeah, so I guess some of the feedback we got from our user group is that although we want to look through the front windscreen to see where we're going and have tools to actually take action now, it's always nice still to look in the rear vision mirror. So this actually helps you measure and monitor your wealth building journey to see what that looks like for you, for your lifestyle design and financial peace. You clearly saw from what Ben showed you there that it tracks and saves that history. A lot of people really enjoy seeing that, right? Where was I a year ago? Where was I 18 months ago? How am I now? So they can actually have that sense of measuring the progress and feeling good about the progress they're making. It's clearly segmentation there. You saw that, Ben, as he hovered over. You could see those assets and liabilities, all categories segmented. It'll report on that impact progress, and it sort of gives you that sense of validation that you are actually moving forward. And that's super important. So I guess as Ben moves to the next slide, I've got and that's how it all comes together, right? So we're looking at the speed, we're checking, the odometer, we're seeing what our journey is. I recently drove my family across I live in Torquay in Victoria. We drove over to Perth at Christmas time with the caravan. And the idea was that we would plan to get there in 4 days. And so if I was trying to average to get from Victoria to Perth and I was only averaging 60 kilometers an hour and I wanted to do it in 4 days, the reality is I wouldn't make it, right? So if you think about that as Perth being the destination and Torquay being where you started, the destination is your financial piece. For us, the flag in the ground, in the sand is $2,000 a week. For some of you, that's it. For some of you, it's less. For some of you, it's more. But ultimately, that's the goal. So if we know where we want to go, then we can go, well, we need to know what the speed is to actually get to where we want to go. We can actually have a little look down the bottom to see where I'm at. And then I can actually go, well, it was a 4-day trip. I know which towns I needed to go in. Here's my planned journey along the way. There's where I've been. That's where I've got to go. Essentially, that's what WealthTRACKER does. It says, okay, there's the map. That's the progress. That's the speed I need to go to. And here's the measure of distance that I've done to date, Ben. So good analogy for people to get in their mind on how they can use this. Because again, if we go back to my original opening statement was, how do we help people know about a problem that they don't know they have? This visual here is intended to help you with that, to go, all right, that's super clear now. And all the decisions that you make today will actually impact on your WealthSPEED, which will impact on your WealthCLOCK, which will impact on your WealthTRACKER. And if you don't have those in alignment, you may not get to where you want to be. Versus if you do have them in alignment, you have the awareness and you take the reasonable steps and the action, well, then it just becomes a process to achieve it, Ben.
That's right, Bryce. And you know, the passion behind this project has been a simple one. Like, there is a lot of complex jargon. There's lots of different moving parts. There's all different things you've got to consider, from interest rates to loan to value ratios, to gearing, to leverage, to cash on cash returns, to risk weighted returns, all of this sort of jargon that you hear in investment circles and wealth building circles. And so it's really easy to get into the overwhelmed status. Now, what we've done in creating WealthSPEED is synthesize that down into one clear metric that really brings everything together. So you see the tree, the WealthSPEED tree that it's made up of, in terms of looking at the capital appreciation side, looking at the income side, and looking at how our expenditure impacts our saving speed and all of those elements. Just focus in on your speed. That's all you need to be focused in on. And then obviously the progress that you're going to be making is going to be measured in 2 ways: through your WealthCLOCK and ultimately through, you know, how you've been able to build that wealth tracker and as Bryce said, potentially get motivation from where you've come from to where you are, and to obviously that financial peace destination that you're going to. So we're very proud of this idea that if we can help spark interest and change behavior, we can then start to showcase the opportunity that's in front of every one of us to be able to be better at managing your money, to be able to move forward, because we have this underlying belief in everything that we do that no matter your circumstances, no matter your household, no matter where you come from, if you make good decisions around money management and you start making your money work harder for you, you will gain momentum and move towards your story of financial peace. And that's incredibly empowering for you. And it's obviously a great thrill for us as helping you on that journey as well. So they're the 3 tools. We're really super, proud of them. As I said, we've been working on them over a long time and refining them for many years before we release them to market. But now there's really no reason why you wouldn't understand your current position, because you've just got some really simple indicators that help you on that journey. But here we are with the, Moorr is now also available on mobile. So as Bryce takes you through, some of the features and things that are included on the mobile version, I'm going to share the next poll with you. And that one is about how many of you have already downloaded the new mobile app. So let me launch that while Bryce just talks through some of the inclusions and features and tools on the mobile version of Moorr.
I'm super excited to see what the results of that are, Ben. And I must admit, folks, full disclosure, my wife and I have been using Money Smarts for over a decade, but it's not until we released the mobile that she got super excited about it because of the fact that it was on the go. But we did launch it at the end of last year. It also, with a new feature around My Goals. So you actually see it's got a really awesome, you'll see it on the screen there, the fourth image to the right, be worry-free. You can see there's a timeline there that actually helps you put in your goals. Could be buying a car, wedding, whatever it is, right? You put the goals and you can see it in timeline format, which is really, really good. Money Smart's on the go. I just sort of hinted at that. A lot of people have said, yeah, Money Smart's actually really works for us, but we would love to have it at the point when we're making decisions when it's mobile. Well, that's happening now. And then, of course, it's the home of Moorr is now the home of WealthCLOCK, WealthSPEED, and WealthTRACKER, which is also in your mobile. So if you've got a Moorr account now, all you need to do is go and download the app and log in using the same credentials that you would log in on the desktop, and all of a sudden everything's available on mobile. So you basically have the choice to go mobile or desktop. I combine both. I'll probably do about 60% on the mobile, 40% on the desktop, just depending on what I want to do. But it's a bit like your online banking. You can log on your desktop, you can log on your iPad or your smartphone, whatever it is. So, and the results will show up in real time, whatever the location that you're using. So it's completely free to set up. We do not have any plans to change that being free. So the basic Money Smarts, all of what we're showing you here, all of these tools for going forward will be free within the platform. And so we'd love for you to use it, check it out, always give us feedback. And if you actually are enjoying it, tell your friends, because if they can actually see these insights, and you can start to change the dialogue that you're having at barbecues around, instead of asking that awkward question, how much do you earn? What are you spending on your expenses? Do you have investment properties? Now you can just have a narrative, Ben, around just what's your wealth speed, and you can have a conversation just about that one metric.
You can, and I've got the results of the poll in, and it's 71% of people already have the mobile version. So thank you very much to those who've already checked it out. And if you can kind enough give us a review, that would be wonderful. There's still 29% of people who still haven't downloaded it. But to Bryce's point, if you're an existing user inside Moorr, the web version, or you're an old My Wealth Portal user with an account there, all of that data has been transferred. And so you can use either platform or either, sort of visual interface in terms of how you want to get that user experience. And it's all part of one central set of data that we hold on you and your situation. So thank you very much for filling in that poll. It was really interesting to see how many of you have already got it, and hopefully you are telling your friends about it. Moving along, that's what we also wanted to do in terms of just remember to know that you've got both of those available to you. I've started
and to update your numbers too, Ben, isn't it? Like, yes. It's actually a really good exercise for you to go, all right, I haven't actually revisited that for a while. I've got a platform now that's giving me these new insights. Let me go and get my data in, particularly in the environment that we're in now, Ben, where cash flow is really important for everyone to manage and trim and make sure they've got the best line of sight on it. And I guess it really begs the question then, what is my wealth speed? How do I make it go faster? And if you want to make it go faster, you can reach out to us. We can help you with that. But also, as I said before, ask your friends, what's your wealth speed? If they say, what does that mean? Show them what to do so that they can do the same exercise as you, so that then you can have that comparison, that conversation point.
Thank you, Bryce. And also a reminder that I've been sort of starting to record some new tutorials about ways in which you can make your wealth speed go faster. So we've loaded already a couple of those tutorials up. You can find them at moorr.com.au. Scroll down to the bottom there and you'll see some of those tutorials. That'll take you also to our YouTube channel as well, where you can see lots of other interesting ways. We've got our Beat the Bank series. We've got, basically explaining what to do if you've got a fixed rate loan that's coming out of expiry. So we'll continue to keep building out all of that education story as well, as part of, how we serve the Moorr community, as part of our greater community around the property couch, and also our advisory business Empower Wealth. So thank you, Bryce, for that note. In terms of we're not done yet. I wanted to also share with you a couple of coming soon. So we are certainly not one and done with these new tools that we've just added. We have a massive vision for what this platform is going to be able to deliver for our value community. And this is an example of what we're working on at the moment in terms of, so this is the new card system. So it's already available on the mobile version. but it's just going to be an easier way in which we organize each and every one of your cards. So we know through the, the expense items and the income items, and we've got a set number of those, but you can have an unlimited number of cards. So you can get more granular if you want to get granular in terms of the naming. So you can nickname the cards, and effectively they'll have the relationship with the expense or income or borrowing item. And so we're going to be able to then start to provide you with some really, really interesting insights and navigation around that. So we've got easy navigation. Search functionality starts to become a lot more efficient. So we understand that, the current web version, in terms of how you look at things, we can improve that. So we're going to be working on that. The tagging and personalization of reporting, and potentially being able to design your own sort of layouts and dashboards and all of that type of stuff is also high on our radar in terms of our aspirations of what we want to be able to deliver for you. If we move to the next one, we can see here, this is building on that. And this is my other big announcement. So we also know that a lot of us have really old spreadsheets, and we may have used other software platforms in the past where we've potentially got a sample of our current balance sheet position and what our assets were worth way back when. Well, you can see here in terms of one of the things that we're going to be introducing when we introduce the new card system is this ability to actually load in historical data. So, and when you do load that in, I was mentioning this before in terms of that wealth tracker story, you will be able to then see the all-time, history of what's happened in your situation. Now, that should be hugely motivational for some people, because when was the last time that you did grab that old spreadsheet from from 2002 to 2005, and you got your old records wherever you got them? You'll be able to plug that in, and then that will take a snapshot of that moment in time and then show you that historical history. So that's a huge leap up. And again, it's all about our vision that everything stays within this platform for you. You won't need any other tool to organize your finances, set your goals, and get about achieving those goals and making your money work faster for you. So you've got tracking, performance, and financial position over time, and obviously that deeper personalized insights. And then the final coming soon story for us is this comparison of the financial position. So a lot of people like to see, this is a very early prototype that we're working on at the moment. You can see, two different moments in time, or two different points in time in terms of measuring yourself against that was you then, this is you now. And it is about obviously engaging all of the stakeholders in your financial journey around what that looks like. So you'll be able to view those performances side by side. And that's going to allow you to look at your potential profit and loss and balance sheets next to each other. So obviously balance sheet is all around the asset story, and then obviously profit and loss is all about the cash flow story in terms of how we've been able to generate that. So we are working super hard on getting these new features to market as soon as we possibly can. And of course, there are more ideas and implementation of new features and tools in the pipeline story for us as well. Moving along, Bryce.
Look, there's a couple of things here for people to think about. Excuse me, is a few of you really want the detail, right? So, okay, I saw those gauges. Some of you are quite happy, all right, just need to focus on the speed. Others go, what does that look like? So if you go to that URL there, so moorr.com.au/wealth dashboard, we've actually gone into a lot of detail. What is each gauge? How is it being drawn in? How does it work towards the grouping gauge? So for those of you that love the detail, go and check that out. Also, when you're inside the app, if you have any questions, you can use the need help button. We will certainly be able to troubleshoot anything that you've got there. Also, for those of you that want to have another look at this presentation, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation for you to actually look at in the future. And of course, some of you on this call, put your hand up if you are a podcast listener, but each week we update you on the new features and tools. So we want to encourage you to continually refer back to the podcast each week. That's the main platform that Ben and I get to speak to our community on a regular basis. And we're always putting new features and generally been making the features available to our clients and to our community first before the rest of the people. So that's a good way to stay in touch.
It is a great way of staying in touch. Thanks for that, Bryce. All right, we're going to turn our cameras back on now because we've reached the Q&A session. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from Ulrich in terms of some of the questions that we've got. And again, reminder, Ulrich is one of the product managers responsible for this amazing work. He was the lead product manager in regards to the WealthCLOCK and WealthSPEED story as well. So it's great to have you on board, Ulrich. So let's talk about some of the questions that have come through and see if we can get some answers for people.
Thanks very much, Ben. Just a quick mention as well. If you still have a question there that I haven't gotten to just yet, there have been quite a few, so I am playing a little bit of catch up there. But just to start out with, we did have a lot of questions, especially regarding WealthSPEED and WealthCLOCK. I think the very first one I'll go with is from Ben, actually, another Ben. Given WealthSPEED and the associated tools are a new way of thinking, do you have benchmarks on what is a healthy WealthSPEED? How do we compare these metrics against our own goals?
Yeah, so it's great. So this is the natural evolution. Once you introduce a new concept and a new way of thinking about your money, we know that obviously these are novel ideas about looking at your money. So the next evolution of these is, what is healthy? So we have inside the web version an area called MoneyFit, and you're able to compare yourself in regards to how you compare from an income point of view, based on your household composition. You can then also break that down by expense item and by location across Australia. So you can see all of Australia, or you can see just your state that you're in, and you can see thousands and thousands of other users and the data that they've put in there. That's all obviously anonymized data. We don't have any sort of notifiable data for any individual household. You're looking at that. Now, of course, that's a straight way of looking at it. And what we're thinking about doing is plugging in the ability to have a look at your WealthSPEEDs, also based on that same sort of, here's the household composition. So I want to compare myself by age group, by state, by region, and that's going to allow you to do that. So we are fully conscious of that. I will say, however, and that it's also important, like if you've just done 9 years of study and you're going to be walking in to be a surgeon and a doctor, well, we know that your HECS debt and your overall education debt is going to be quite high. Your WealthSPEED is going to be very low, but we also know that your income is going to be really strong. So in those types of examples, I just highlight the fact that you don't want to get too caught up in terms of what other people are doing. If you can just stay laser focused on what you can do, step number one is just make your WealthSPEED go faster. I'll then add that, yes, we are totally aware of, in terms of the work we do in our advisory business about, planning to become what you plan to become and effectively engineering a retirement target as part of the portfolio, property plans and all that we build. We are using our skill and knowledge in that area to also experiment with this concept of WealthSPEED gap analysis and potentially, time versus value and impacts in terms of what's going to happen around decisions that are going to be made. So again, we're only just starting. If I think about a clock, we're at 3 o'clock. We've got a lot more work to do and a lot more fun things to get, our hands dirty in terms of how we build this out as the premier best in class, financial, modeling and also financial wellness app.
Thank you, Ben. We've got a 2-part question here from Maria and sorry, I've lost the name there. I'll start with Maria. How many months of data do you need to get a better view of your WealthSPEED/clock? And the second part of that question is there a recommendation to update on a monthly basis our asset values, income provision, spending, and also do the monthly check-ins so we get trends over time?
Yeah, Bryce?
Yeah, well, the months of, it's a snapshot in time. So the months of data, if you're just putting in your current details, if it's a balance sheet now, you'll actually get a WealthSPEED. It's just a snapshot in time. But clearly, the more data that you enter, the more that the historical wealth tracker will be able to show you the progress over time. So, and then clearly the idea is that you do check in on a monthly basis, because if it's underpinned by the Money Smart system, we think it's the superior rules-based money management system that allows you to manage your money in less than 10 minutes a month. To be able to do that allows you to go, well, here's the way that I set up my banking structure. Here's the way that I actually manage my weekly float, and then use your money out of your offset account and your credit card. So at the end of the month, you come in, you do the check-in, all of a sudden you've got all that extra data anyway. So it's a good question, Maria, but it's largely giving you a snapshot in time. So then if you actually then go in the following month, and there's any tweaks to the data, it'll give you another snapshot in time, but also give you that historical record of where you were when you put it in the first time, second time, and then the subsequent times.
And if I can build on that, just a quick point around, you're probably not going to do your property assets every month, but certainly shares, and you could still do your property asset every month, but maybe do that quarterly. But I like the habit that Bryce is talking about. The habit that we're trying to build you in is, with Money Smarts, it is about a monthly checkup. And so if we can get into the habit of also then, let's just roll through our assets and just have a look at what they're doing. And if our share portfolio is doing this and our super balance is that, why not put it in there? I mean, that's the whole idea of engagement and building that muscle memory that we're really focused in on. I might add also, gives me a little sort of clue there. So we are doing some work. We have a property research arm as well. And so we're looking at getting the sort of guided valuations for property. So we should be able to potentially load in an estimate of property in hopefully the next 3 to 6 months. That'll be coming in. And also asking rents is another way in which, we want to help our users in terms of giving them a guide in terms of what is the asking rents around the time that they might be coming out of a term for our property investors. It would be nice for them to know, rather than just taking the word of gospel from their property manager. We should be able to give them some indication of properties in that area, comparable properties within that area, about the sort of asking rents that they're also getting as well.
Thanks, Ben and Bryce. Given time, I might just cut it down to the last few questions here. I got one from Mason here. Will WealthCLOCK goals become part of your property plans in the future, or be a tool we can use to check we are on track with our plans?
Yeah, so we know, again, putting this out to market and with all of our amazing property planning clients, that they will probably want to say, well, can we have a look at what our WealthSPEED looks like in 5 or 10 years time from now? And that's true, right? And we potentially, those people who are coming to work with us for the first time, there is potentially going to be correlation with that particular story as well. So it's not lost on us in terms of that tracking story. Right now, we currently share a 36-month cash flow story in terms of what you should be tracking towards as part of your property plan. I still think that is the most detailed and deep dive, double clicking into that story. That's what you want to be tracking to. But we do see a merging of the two over time in terms of, again, if it brings habits and behaviors and really makes you go after goals, it makes sense that we would also implement that over time.
It's a common question though, isn't it, Ben, that people sort of, if you're actually part of the business where we have done a plan, you have the roadmap. All you need to do is follow the roadmap. It's like Melbourne to Sydney. Here's the path. Make sure you average this, buy these properties along these milestones, and then you will actually achieve your destination. So it's kind of for those people who need to be problem aware or opportunity aware, and they go, because the people who have actually done a plan, they are not the people that don't know about the problem that they don't know have, because they've spent a bit of time. It's usually a 4 to 6 week process. They understand what that means. So they're not the people who don't have that line of sight. It's ideally to give you an opportunity to go, all right, maybe I do have something I need to chat about. How do I make it go faster? You could talk to someone like us to see how you go faster, but the plan supersedes the need for these tools. These tools are to bring visibility to people in the here and now about something in the future that they're not yet aware of.
That's right. I mean, the sim is next level. It is so much more detailed and so much more analytical. Future plans and the cash flow analysis inside there is, as I said, it's next level. So it's a great highlight point, Bryce, that if you've got a plan, keep following that plan and keep checking in with your advisor as part of that story.
Thank you, Ben. Next one we got is from Glenn. Does this tool have the ability to automatically sync income and expenses from various bank feeds, or do we have to manually add expenses and income?
Oh, person after your own heart there, Ben.
Oh, yeah. So that's the other bit of hopefully exciting news we'll be sharing soon. So at the moment, once we build the card system, those cards are linked to the items. And so you can have unlimited cards. They're capped at the expense items. So you can go for gold. Then we're going to be able to have transaction links to the card. once they link to the card, we can do that manually, or we can then start to automate that process. So the short answer is yes, bank feeds will be coming. We're in, negotiating terms right now with our supplier of that data. We're obviously checking them out in terms of their, risk penetration, in terms of their security around, how detailed it is, because we know once we get that bank feed in, it's a game changer. And we also know that, that gives us aspirations with Opti inside the Smart Assistant inside the platform. We haven't spoken a lot about, but we're doing a lot of work in the background on that as well. That, you're talking about money on autopilot here, which is potentially a nirvana outcome for tens of thousands of people who are using the platform. So that doesn't get any more exciting than that. So it's a great question. Thanks for that wonderful question.
Thanks very much, Ben. I might do just one last one, given our time as we're a little bit over. We've got one from Dave here. Can there be a retirement destination countdown gauge to know if you can speed up your journey to retirement?
Yeah, do you want me to go?
Yeah, gap analysis, right?
Again, this is all the stuff in the sandpit that we're working on. So just imagine, so we've got that in prototype as well now. So imagine that you've got, as you're putting your data in, it's actually moving your time to target retirement, and it's giving you readings of this is how close you are to retirement. This is how that decision will impact all of those things. The world is going to open up in terms of how we can help households manage their finances better. So we are, again, I know I've said it, I think I'm a broken record, but we are super excited about what's on the pathway to where we're going to take this tool and this platform. It's a passion of ours. We think we can serve tens of thousands of households across the country. It's free in terms of how we're going to be able to make that. The stuff that we've shared with you today will always remain free. Some of the other stuff that there is going to be a cost that we'll incur. So we've got to work out, how we can get that, sort of manageable. But that's exactly where we're swimming towards in terms of, those ideas around a concept we call consequential finance. I won't bore you with that today, but that is about that impact in terms of decisions that you're making. How does that push out my retirement? How does that bring my retirement in? And seeing all of those gauges is going to empower more people to making better and smarter decisions. And most of the time is, most households over their journey actually earn enough income to retire comfortably. It's just the decisions that they make along that journey. And it's the timing decisions that they make along that journey that cause them not to actually reach that retirement target. So that's a great passion of mine. The more people that we can have proactively looking after themselves in retirement is great for themselves, great for their self-esteem, great for the experiences they're going to be able to have, but it's also great for the country and great for being able to, to build that lifestyle by design that we're so passionate about in terms of getting to, that 6th grade of financial peace and then ultimately that 7th grade of financial contribution.
And we always talk about money being simple, behavior is hard. So the hope here is that this will affect behavior. So I wonder if if you've had a look at this and you think, oh, maybe I think that would affect behavior, maybe stick your hand up just so we can get a bit of an idea. But that's the hope, right? Because it's the habits and the behaviors and the actions that people take at the right time with an informed view of where they're headed, with the correct time horizon in place. And if we can have these gauges to influence people's abilities to take action and not live in inertia and sit in status quo and then have that sort of dreadful feeling when they realise too late that there's not enough time horizon for them to do anything about it. That's the goal. But I guess given what you've seen tonight, how many of you are now keen to work out your wealth speed?
Yes. I raise those hands up if we've inspired you to take action, because that's what it's about. These tools are about inspiring you to take action, get a census of your moment in time. Great to see all those hands going up. It reinforces why we do what we do and what our great team does, and why I love doing what I do with Bryce and, the work that we do every day, day in and day out in terms of helping others. So thank you very much, everyone. I thought we'd close tonight. For those of you who haven't seen the vision, promo, of Moorr and what it's about. It is ultimately about achieving more with more. So we're going to sign off with that. I'll turn my camera off, and we'll go out with our promo video that just hopefully motivates you even further in terms of what money delivers you in regards to experiences and the great joy that you can get from, you know, having those experiences with others. So I'll turn my camera off, and then we'll just close it out with our Moorr promo video. So there it is. It's all about achieving more with more. Hopefully, again, it's a fun little video that we put together about that. And I also, you know, want to say thank you to Bryce for co-hosting with me tonight. It's actually awesome. And thank you to all of you people who have spent your time with us in terms of working through this webinar with us tonight and learning about these new tools. We'll continue to keep making sure that we provide these awesome planning and management tools. They're so important. Think about that, you know, that fifth step in that critical process. We're committed to, you know, making sure that we've got that best-in-class platform that allows us to continue to add value to you, who are our most valued clients. And as you know, that video just said, it is all about achieving more with more. And so thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a great night, and we look forward to catching up with you real soon. Bye for now.
See you, folks.